Mayo against Kerry this Saturday. I think this will be a pretty entertaining match. Mayo don't have a great record against teams that are managed by Jack O'Connor with Kerry.
They have an awful record.
Yeah.
Like atrocious. Couple of All-Ireland finals, 04 and 05. Then in the second reign, they beat them regularly again. Did they beat them 3 times last year, including the All-Ireland quarter-final? Like, it's a horrible record. Like, I'm not saying it's just unique, I suppose, maybe, that he's really had the upper hand on them. And they're obviously both on 2 points coming into the weekend. Kerry had a real good second half against Monaghan. Mayo have been, thoroughly entertaining in the 2 games so far. You'd have to say that 2-8 to 1-11 draw against Galway and then 17 points apiece against Armagh. I think both would love to get more points on the board and just be closer towards safety. I don't think Kerry are looking at a league title this year. Like, I just think they're trying to survive in Division 1, if you get me. And I think Kevin McStay would be something similar with Mayo, given the amount of new faces he's trying out.
Yeah, we were talking to, actually, with our weekly Poacher and Varley show, which you can see every Wednesday evening. Varley, who, of course, is a former St. Vincent's club player, he got on Gerard Brennan, and they had a bit of a chat about Dublin and some of the other runners and riders for the All-Ireland Championship this year. So, very interesting conversation. I'll just play a little segment here.
The team in transition as well. Not particularly exciting to have watched them against Kildare, and I didn't see any of the Limerick game. Probably the first time Dublin weren't on the Sunday game, and God knows how long. There's a question for some of the researchers there to see when was the last time Dublin weren't featured on a Sunday or the Saturday game, wherever it was. I think it was a Sunday. But Dublin are trying out a few new players as well, and Division 2 is the opportunity for them to.
Anyone taking your fancy, actually, Ger? I know Sean Lowry got a run, actually, from Vincent's.
Sean got a run from Vincent's. I guess Dublin supporters will have to be patient and lower their expectations of what's coming through. Again, you have very committed players looking to and extremely hungry to represent their county. But in terms of God-given talent, it's just not the same as the cohort that kind of came before that we've already spoken about. So Dublin have a bit of work to do. I think if we can keep some of our key players fit, and particularly up front, if we can get Paul Mannion back playing well, up to speed, able to manage the inter-county load, and put a bit of cotton wool around Conor Collin as well, you certainly have a chance. I think generally the standard of football, I thought the last couple of championships, the standard of football probably wasn't of a great standard in comparison to previous years,
So is that why do you think it's gone? It's more competitive now, Charles. In December,
it's more competitive.
Yeah, it's more competitive. It's better to watch. I know the standard could be dropped, but
yeah, I would say, and again, my Dublin arrogance. Not so much that the pack has gotten closer to Dublin. I think Dublin have fallen towards the pack, just with the natural qualities coming through. So
lads throwing something at this screen here.
Yeah, they can throw something at the screen all they want. But Kerry, without David Clifford last year, would have been fecked, and I think that if Conor Collin had been fit for the semi-final, we would have been fine. I think we would have bet Kerry.
Oh, really? What's your opinion with Kerry? Really quick, Ger.
Kerry, take out the Cliffords, and up front they're limited.
Do you think, really?
I think Sean O'Shea, lovely striker of the ball, a talented footballer, but manageable. The Cliffords, when they get going, obviously David is a real gift to the world of Gaelic football, and a pleasure to watch. And then himself and his brother have a great understanding of each other as well, and Paddy's direct running. Probably similar version of Stephen O'Brien, younger version of Stephen O'Brien, who's still obviously knocking around the pan as well. But Kerry are probably under pressure in midfield. Solid, very solid at the back. But the depth up front, although we've seen some quality players or some quality scores on show against Monaghan, I'd be interested to watch how those players perform against a better defensive team,
So who do you fancy? Like, what out of the pack, who do you think is going to come through here? As in, do you think it's Kerry again, or do you think someone else is going to come out of the pack?
I think Dublin will win the All Irelands if they keep those fellas fit on the pitch, and
Yeah.
I think it'll be the last All Ireland we win for a long time.
So that's quite a summation from Gerard Brennan there.
There was just like bombs been lobbed every 20 or 30 seconds. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Jack says, disagree, Kerry are the team to beat. Not sure where Dublin can win it, but to me, Kerry are the team. And yeah, so like, do you believe that that's true, that the standard of Dublin has dropped more towards the pack than the pack catching up? I tend to agree, actually.
Oh, God, yeah. Definitely, yeah. And even looking at Dublin in league games last year, and you're just thinking, God, the difference between 2020 league and even last year's league, we'll say, just poles apart. Yeah, completely different. And, you know, players coming in that, with due respect to them, that just, you know, would have seen very, very limited game time under Gavin's regime. Such was the standard that was there. Now, if you look at Shane, like if you, and Conor McKeown did it for us there last week in the paper, I think, like if you look at what's gone out the door, like the quality of player that's gone out the door, and, you know, the quality of player that's replaced it just hasn't been the same. That's just a statement of fact. And naturally they have come back, but if they have everybody available to them this year and fit in, you know, those big games, particularly whether it's an All-Ireland semi-final or final or whatever it is, maybe against Kerry, I probably would be something similar to Ger. I think that they might just eke out an All-Ireland, and that could be the last one for a while. But it's a really interesting campaign. Like, will Kerry kick on with the lack of pressure, shall we say, now? If you get me, I know there's always pressure, but they have an All-Ireland now. Do you know what I mean? A lot of those guys, you know, your Shawnee Shays, your David Cliffords, you know, these boys that were, you know, just the itch was just to get an All-Ireland, get over the line. They're over the line now. Will they do like what Dublin did after 2011? And will it take a year maybe for them to kick on and climb to that level and realise, like, we have a chance here to go to another level and create a bit of a dynasty? Or is it a case of, you know, we'll have a good few different teams winning All-Ireland over the next couple of years?
Yeah, go. I'd just be disappointed if we didn't see Dublin against Kerry this year. I really want to see that match, and I want to see both teams with fully fit sides.
Well, you're talking about, you know, Tip and Kilkenny playing every year. To me, like, football is secondary to me, to hurling. There's no point in saying any different, but I would watch Dublin and Kerry every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Like it's a different, there's a different atmosphere to it. Like that semi-final last year, like there's so much SH1T going on in that game. It was brilliant. Like, it was just like the post shaking and players down for 3 minutes and black cards, and it was unbelievable. You'd watch it every day of the week. You really would. Shane, can you bring up a comment Richard Hogan has about Noel skiing in '82? It's just a couple up to. This is a great story. So Noel skiing eating an apple in '82, which was thrown onto the field from the crowd. So at some stage, somebody thrown an apple. I don't know whether it was thrown at him or not or whatever, but he was asked after. He's like, Noel, what was the story with the apple? And he just goes, I had a bite. And then he goes, Pat Henderson, he had a bite as well. It's just like, as if like they were handing around an apple during the big game and just taking chunks out of it.
Oh, stop. Also in the third round of the league this weekend, Galway are against Tyrone, Monaghan are against Donegal. Is it a relegation 4-pointer? I mean, it is for Monaghan for sure, but Donegal do have one win in the bag, and actually probably in a lot of ways they might feel that if they can get one more victory here, that puts them in a decent old spot for the rest of the league. Monaghan, like, when you look at some of the other teams that they'll have to play, this is probably a game that they'll really target, thinking we need something here.
Yeah, Monaghan need to get a result here.
Like, they were hammered by Kerry, weren't they? Like, it was a bad defeat. Yeah,
it was relatively tight in the first half, but they were run over in the second half. That came on the back of being, you know, very, very competitive against Armagh the first week, and it was just it was a soft goal that they conceded that Rory Beggan probably didn't cover himself in glory. He probably should have got back and stopped it. And if they got the result that day, I think they'd be a lot happier going into this weekend. But this is a relegation 4-pointer in my book, and Monaghan need to get points on the board here. They've conjured some great escapes in recent years, and no more than even last year against Dublin in that final round. But I think Jack McCarron's carrying a knock, isn't he? Didn't he come off the first day, I think? Conor McManus has only kind of been eased back into it. Drew Wiley obviously retired. Colin Walsh retired. like they've been up in Division 1 for 9 straight seasons, I think. It does kind of look like it's you don't like using the word transition, but there's a lot of the lads that have made them unbelievably competitive for over a decade now are coming towards the end, and some of them have already stepped away.
So you're writing them off?
I think they're going to be under pressure, yeah. I think they're going to be under pressure, I have to say, yeah. I think it's... And fair play to Vinnie Corey for filling the breach there as well, because, you know, it didn't look like lads were jumping up and down for it. Wasn't there talk of Jason Sherlock taking them over at one stage, and then all of a sudden it was like Donegal, Roscommon.
Actually, Enda Varley asked Ger Brennan about being linked to the Monaghan job as well, so that's something that you can listen in on.
Yeah, it's just like it's probably, you know, another Division 1 side, but a lot of people would probably think that they're gone over the top a bit. And it's fascinating to see they've proved people wrong and maxed out their resources for the goods of the last decade. And if they can get a result at the weekend, they'll probably fancy their chances of staying up. And Donegal, I think, could be without Patrick McBrearty. Didn't he pull up with a bit of a hamstring 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Paddy Carr was saying Patrick had to be taken off the field with what was very evidently a hamstring injury in Omagh last Sunday week. All it is, he's been medically assessed at the moment. There's nothing more than that. Every team has knocks and bruises, so we're actually waiting for a full assessment before we can say anything about that. Genuinely, of the lads who played against Tyrone, they're all in contention. I just have to be guided by the medical people. And he said there's no return date yet for Ryan McHugh, who's been injured. He hasn't featured so far in the league this year.